Hi everybody, thank you for joining. We'll get started now. So thank you for joining me today on this focus on Salesforce. We're going to be looking at project management and engineering and how you can bring together multiple different sources of data, combine it with Salesforce to try and improve your productivity and get your product developments out to your customers as quick as possible. So just before we get started, I'm just going to explain who the Information Lab are. So we are a consultancy and training partner for both Alteryx and Tableau. So we're an Alteryx preferred partner and a Tableau Gold partner. So we do consulting in these two products. We also offer training and resell licenses. And we also set up something called the Data School. So this is training the next generation of analysts. It's a 2.5-year program. And it starts off with 4 months intensive training in Alteryx and Tableau, followed by 4 6-month-long placements at our clients. So my name is Bethany. I was part of the 4th intake of Data School. And now since then, I've joined the core team at the Information Lab. And so this is the agenda for today. This is what we're going to be going through. As you can see, it's quite a brief agenda, just 2 main things that we're going to be looking at. So first of all, we'll look at the art of the possible. So basically, I'm wanting to demonstrate how you can bring together multiple different sources of data with Salesforce in order to prioritize your product engineering and your development resources. So we're going to have a look at what is important to customers, different metrics to figure that out. And then once we figured that out, we're going to have a look at how we can prioritize the development of those new features that the customers might want. And then after that, we're going to have a little look behind the scenes to see how I brought this data together, which tables I've brought together, and build a little something out as well, so you can see how easy it is to join this data. Okay, so we'll jump straight into it. Okay, so I'm going to go into our Tableau server. And if we can just pretend that we are a product manager at a software subscription company. So we've got these 6 different products. We can see those across the top. And I actually just want to know, how successful are those products? So are my customers using them? Are they struggling with them? What's going on there? So one way that we can figure that out is just by looking at our cases, or the case table in Salesforce. So how many support requests have we got through to our Service Cloud? Now, that's obviously just one way of looking at it, but to try and bring in some extra detail into that, I'm also going to bring in some product activity information, or some product activity data. So obviously I've got the number of cases that have been sent in for each product, but I also want to know how many active users do I have in those products as well. Okay, so as I said, I've got my 6 different products across the top, and I can see this product Ahsoka has got the most cases, and this is across all time, or at least in the past year. It is on the decline, so we're doing something right there. But what I want to know is where to focus my attention in terms of product development and feature development. So I want to know what's important to my customers right now. So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of the closed cases and only keep the open cases inside this dashboard. So I've still got Ahsoka at the top with the most number of cases, quickly followed by my product FixFlex. Those 2 are definitely the highest in terms of number of cases. And then we've got these other 4 softwares here that are doing a fair bit better. So we can see underneath the type of case that we're looking at. So a lot of the time we're getting cases in about bug reports. So there's something going on with the product or the feature that we need to try and fix. So there's something that's not quite right there. The next one down is an interesting one. So that's a feature help request. Now, as a product manager, that's something I can control, because maybe that's indicating to me that I need to update my documentation on that product to try and help my customers answer their own questions. We also have some new feature requests. So there's something lacking in that product that we can develop. And then finally, we've just got some update failures. So something's gone on when they've tried to kind of update this product, update the software, and it's failed for whatever reason. So what I want to do is try and find my priority products in terms of focus. So as I said, I want to have a look at the number of cases and how many active users I've got. But I'm going to try and prioritize my customers based on these 4 different things here. So I've got my number of cases, as we've spoken about, the number of accounts that have sent in those cases. In those accounts, I want to know how many active users I've got. And then finally, how much is this worth to me as a monetary value? So for the accounts that are sending in these cases, how much money are they giving us for license revenue? If I've got a product which is ranking high in all of these different areas, then that's definitely something I want to have a look at, because it's going to give me a lot of license revenue, but there's a lot of cases. So there's something that I'm missing, and therefore I'm at risk of losing that license revenue. So I can focus in on each of these different products. As we can see at the moment, I'm having a look at Ahsoka. So it's number 1 in the number of cases. If I have a look at FixFlex, for example, and switch that view, I can see that FixFlex is obviously number 2 in terms of number of cases, but it's number 1 for the number of accounts that have sent in cases. And it's also bringing me through the most license revenue. So I want to know why I'm getting so many cases for that specific product and where I can develop it. If I wanted to as well, I can go and focus on one specific case type. So let's have a look at all of the new feature requests. So again, we've got these the two same products up at the top there that are clearly missing the most features. So there's some demand for new features that we haven't included yet. Now, just to look at Ahsoka again, if I go and focus in on this, there's something quite interesting going on here, because it's number 1, it's got the most number of cases, but it's only 3rd in the number of users, which means that there's a higher proportion of users that aren't happy with the product, because there's more of them that are sending in cases. So I want to try and figure out why and what exactly is happening. So let's go and have a look at the actual cases that were sent in. So in order to try and focus my attention on feature development, I want to have a look at what the cases were. Let's go and have a look at those. Okay, so now what I'm looking at are all of the cases that were sent in for Ahsoka and FixFlex. I've got these prioritized by high priority in blue, medium priority in purple, and then low priority in gray. Now, this is all broken down by the actual accounts themselves, the type of request that they sent in, and also the product. So the way that we're prioritizing our accounts is if they meet one or both of these criteria on the left-hand side. So if there's an account that is giving us a total license revenue of at least 300,000, or they have got at least 3 open cases in, then they're going to class as a medium priority account. If they meet both of these criteria, they're going to be classed as a high priority account. So I'm now starting to dig a little bit further and figure out exactly what is important to my customers. Okay, now I've got all of my accounts on the screen at the moment. So I've got a lot of noise here. I probably don't want to see all of this. So we can go ahead and just focus on the priority accounts only. Again, we've still got quite a lot of information here. So let's go and dynamically just update our priority accounts. So I just want to know if any of these accounts has got at least 450,000 revenue for that specific product. Okay, so by doing that, we've now massively reduced this list of priority accounts. So we can start to try and focus our attention a little bit more. Now on the left-hand side, we've got the number of cases for each product broken down by the feature. So for these priority accounts that we've chosen, we can see that a lot of them, or there are 4 cases that have been sent in for Ahsoka for a new feature. So we're missing something there in that product. Followed by the 2 features, Latlux and Alpha, and we can go ahead and just click on those specific features to figure out who sent in the case and what type of case it was. So for this one specifically, it was sent in by the same company, so Ripon Group, and they've got 2 cases that were sent in about an update failure, and then 1 that was sent in about a bug report. I can go ahead and click off that and just go and have a look at everything again. Now, looking down this account list, I can see there are a few accounts that are repeated. So I've got Ripon Group a few times like we've seen. We've also got Murray Group. So I'm going to just go and have a look at all of the cases that have been sent in for that specific account. Okay, so looking at Murray Group, clearly one of my high priority customers. They do bring us a lot in license revenue for FixFlex. And I can see that they have got a lot of bug reports, so they're not particularly happy there. They've got a few feature help requests, so we might want to maybe introduce a little bit of training for this customer. And they've also got a few update failures as well. Now, because the whole purpose of this is to try and pinpoint exactly where to prioritize the development, I can now see that I've got a lot of bug reports here. And if I have a look at them, I can see that it's these 3 features that I might want to focus on. But just taking a step back from just one specific account, if I have a look, as we can see, we've got a SOCA new feature request is one of the most, or is one of the case types with the most cases in. And then we've also got the FixFlex MatSoft feature has got a lot of cases in, as well as a new feature request for that product too. So again, we're starting to pinpoint the exact things that our customers are wanting or that they're not happy with. So if I want to try and keep this license revenue, then I need to try and fix whatever's going on for those specific features for that product. Okay, so we've managed to sort of pinpoint our attention. So we can now go to the product engineering team and say, look, we've got these clients, they're really interested in these products, but they're having issues with these features. And if we lose them, then we're going to lose X amount of license revenue. So let's try and focus our development attention on those features. Okay, so now moving over to the product engineering side, ideally, you would be able to just second guess the product manager. Right? You don't want someone coming to you saying, you know, we need attention on this specific thing. You want to be able to just do it yourself and try and figure out what they need attention on. So this is where this view comes into play. Now, again, we're bringing in a different type of data. So previously we had product usage data, which was going to help us pinpoint what was important to our products, to our customers. But in this case, we're actually bringing in some project management data. And we're doing this by using Jira. So this data, obviously, I know Salesforce has a task table where you can control people's tasks. But in this team, we like to use Jira. We like the way that it moves or that it helps the team kind of work together. So we can connect this Jira data with the cases that we've got in Salesforce to try and figure out which task needs more work. Okay, so just to take a little tour around this dashboard, again, we've got our different products down the left-hand side here. And we can see how many active projects we've got for that product. So there are 9 active projects for Ahsoka. We can see within that, there are 44 tasks, and we can see how many of those are late and how many of those are on time. Okay, so let's just focus on Ahsoka. I'm just going to go ahead and select that product. Now this scatter plot is going to try and direct my attention as to which specific project I need to give attention to. So each point here represents one project. And if it's got a lot of tasks to it, it means it's quite a heavy project. There's a lot to do in it. And if it's got a lot of associated cases to it, that means that whatever this project is for, it's really wanted by our customers. It's really in high demand. So it's something we want to try and focus on. If these circles are slightly orange, it means that there's a certain percentage of the tasks within that project that are running late. So my eye is immediately drawn to this one up at the top right, and I can see I've got 10 active tasks in that project, of which 20% of them are actually running late at the moment. And it's quite an important task because, it's quite an important project because there are 33 cases associated to it. So that's definitely something we want to try and sort out so we can get those customers happy again. Also looking at this one, we've got the Ahsoka new feature request. And this is something that we actually pinpointed from the last dashboard. So from the product management point of view, I already knew that my customers needed some new features within this product. But now as a product engineer, I can see that on my own. I don't need to go to a specific table or speak to the product manager. I can actually go and have a look at what is in demand in terms of what does the customer want, what are they missing? And I can see how that is doing in terms of how likely we're going to be able to get these new features out on time. So let's go ahead and just focus on that specific project. Now I can see in my Jira data that I've got a couple of them are in planning stage. We've got one in the backlog and then one in development. And this one in development here, this task that's in development is actually running late. So if I hover over, I can see there that orange bar is going to show me the task duration. So we can see there that the account Johnson Inc. was probably the one that set off this new task. So they were the first person that had requested this new feature. But then since then, we've had a load of other cases that have been sent in requesting the same feature. And some of them were actually really close to today. So I need to try and figure out why this one is running late. Similarly, if I go and have a look at my alpha project, again, I've got two of them here that are running late. And I want to try and figure out what's going on there. Now, when I look at this one, I can see that for this project, let's go ahead and sort these bars by when they were due. For this project, two of the tasks, the two tasks that are actually running late, are owned by the same person. They're both owned by Early. Now, he's obviously having a few issues trying to get these things out on time. So in terms of trying to prioritize my resources and move things around to get my tasks completed, maybe I should try and move someone over and give one of these tasks to them to take it off Early's hand and try and help it out or help him out. So looking down this list, I can see I've got Michelle. She's only got one task currently in this project. So she's in the same team, but she's not really doing anything at the moment because her one task is in backlog. So maybe she's just finished one. Now, that means that I could go and give her as a resource to Early to try and get that task out on time. Now, because we're in Tableau server, I can go ahead and actually alert Early's manager or alert Michelle's manager. So I can go and add a comment to this. And I can see that I've already done that here. So I've asked Josh if Michelle actually has any free time to help Early. Okay. So taking a little step back from that, we found these two projects that were quite important to a lot of our customers. But that was only for one specific product. Now, all of these here, all of these bars are all of the tasks that I currently have in Jira. But I want to try and focus on the priority tasks. So how close are they to their deadline? How many customers are relying on that task being completed? So let's go ahead and focus our view. Now I can define what I mean by a priority task using this drop down here. So at the moment, I'm still getting a lot of tasks come back because I've got this or logic. So I'm going to bring back a task if it's got at least 3 cases associated to it, or it's due in 8 days or less. Now, again, to try and pinpoint my view, I'm just going to go ahead and switch that logic to be and. So now I'm just going to have a look at all of the tasks that have got at least 3 cases associated to it, and they are due in 8 days or less. We can always increase this value here. So let's go ahead and just increase this to 5. And close that. So now I can see that I've got a few extra tasks that I hadn't looked at before. So I knew that I had this Ahsoka new feature one that I needed attention to. We found that one already. But what we hadn't found was this one. Now we've still got chance for this task to be finished on time. It doesn't have to be late. It's due in 5 days. And we can see that it's still being requested by accounts currently. Like the most recent one was fairly recent. And it's actually going to bring us a lot of license revenue, or it's going to make those customers who are bringing us a lot of license revenue happy if we can bring in that new feature. So it's very easy to try and focus on the tasks in this case, which are late, but we don't necessarily want to just focus on those. We want to focus on the ones that could still be on time, that are quite important in terms of who's interested in them. Okay, and we can still see that we've got a few extra ones here. So we've got this one for our product Solar Breeze. At the moment, we've only been focusing on Ahsoka and FixFlex. So again, this has automatically widened our view to have a look at a product and a specific task, which is important to our customers. Now, all of this is possible because we brought together data from different sources. So we brought it together from Salesforce and Jira, and through that, we've been able to, one, focus our view to pick 2 specific products and some specific features or feature developments within those. But it's also made sure that we haven't ignored other things that we might want to pick up, like this one here, like this task, which is for Solar Breeze. Okay. So hopefully you can now see the importance of bringing together different types of data to try and enrich your view and streamline your development. So now I'm just going to take a quick look underneath the hood so you can see exactly how I brought together all of this different type of data. Okay, so I'm just going to open up this workbook in Tableau Desktop itself. And just to take a quick look at the data source. That loads. There we go. We can see that we've only got one data source that we're connecting to, but it's actually got these 4 different tables. So some of them are coming from our SQL Server. So you can see this is that product usage data. This is what we needed so we could find out how active our customers were in those products in that very first dashboard we looked at. We've got our Jira tasks, which was important for the last dashboard we looked at. So trying to figure out, how much development we need or how many resources we need for those different tasks to get them over the line. And then we've got these other 2 connections here. So we've got our case table and we've got our opportunity line item table. And obviously both of those are going to be coming from Salesforce. Now, within Tableau, you've got a few different ways of bringing data together. So these different lines that we have here, this is creating a relationship between all of our different tables. But for our actual Salesforce tables, you can see we've got this little Venn diagram. And that's letting me know that that one connection there is actually made up of 3 tables. Okay, so in order to get the license revenue that we were showing, so we knew kind of how important that opportunity was in a, how important that case was or task was as a monetary value, we brought in our opportunity product table. And just to get a little bit more information, we brought in our contract table so we knew if that was an active contract or not. And we've also got our account table just to get a bit more account information. And then finally, for our case table, so this is where obviously right at the beginning and throughout the whole workbook, we were looking at the number of cases that each account had. Again, we've got our standard case table from Salesforce, and we're bringing on the account information there and the product information. Okay, so all of that data is just coming from these 4 different areas. Now on the left-hand side, you can see I've got 3 different connections. I've got my Salesforce connection, and I've got 2 connections here to our SQL Server. Okay. So that is exactly what was making the workbook that I've just shown. So I'm just going to create a kind of simplified version of this just to show you how easy it is to make. Okay, so I'm going to start a new workbook. Okay, and what I'm going to try and build out here is a view which is going to show me the average number of cases I've got per account. Now, I can obviously do that already just by using Salesforce and just by using the case table in Salesforce. But obviously, that's only going to give me the accounts that I've actually sent in a case or sent in a support request. So I'm not actually going to get the full number of accounts that are using the product. I could use the account table as well to get like a view of the accounts that have access to the product, but I don't know if they're actively using it. So what I need to do is bring in my usage data and my case data in order to get that average number of cases sent in by active account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect to data. Now, if you're not familiar with Tableau and you've never actually built anything out before, then at the end of this session, I will be explaining how you can come to some of our training sessions so you can learn how to do that. But obviously, every single time you build out anything in Tableau, you need to you need to connect to some data. So the first thing I'm going to do is connect to some Salesforce data. I'll create my Salesforce connection. So I'll just log in. It's probably going to ask me for a verification code. So let me just check my emails. Okay. All right, so I've just created my connection to Salesforce. And now I can see all of the different tables that I have access to. So you can see there's an absolute load of them here. What I also have at the top are some standard connections, and these are kind of pre-built joins that Tableau have done for you. I'm not actually going to use any of these, but I'll just quickly show you what they are. So if I drag on this cases standard connection, again, you can see it's got that little Venn diagram, and just by hovering over, we can see that this standard connection is made up of 5 tables. So Tableau is actually going to take a lot of the effort and work out, or a lot of the effort out of the connections to Salesforce if you want to use those standard connections. So we can see we've got our case table, and that's already been joined onto the account table, the contact, so we know who to contact for that case. And we can also see who created that case and who that case is owned by. So as I've said, Tableau already has these standard connections built out for you, and they're really useful if you already know what you want to connect to. You're not restricted to those though. You can go ahead and create your own joins, and that's what we're going to be doing. So the first thing I want to look at is obviously my case table. So I want to know how many cases I've got, when they were sent in, and so on. So I'm going to find my case table in my case list there. Drag that over. Now, when you connect to Salesforce, you actually can't connect to it live. It will always create an extract of that table. So you see, because of that, we also actually can't see a preview of that data. So what we have here is just all of the metadata for that table. Now, a lot of the fields in Salesforce I'm not actually going to need for this use case, and it can get quite confusing because we've got a load of fields here that we're not going to use. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and get rid of all the ones I don't want. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of these. So I want to keep who or when it was created. I'm going to get rid of those ones, so I'll hide them. Now, when you actually hide something within a connection, if you then extract it, it's not going to extract those fields. So just make sure that you're not hiding anything you might want to keep. Okay, so go ahead and get rid of these. And obviously, if you don't want to hide them, you don't have to. That's absolutely fine. I would just prefer to. Okay. Now you'll see that I've got this field down here, this JIRA task one, which isn't a standard field in the case table. And this is something that I've created in Salesforce myself. And the reason why that is there is so I can create a connection to my JIRA data, which is saved on our SQL server. Okay, so the way I've done that, I'll just give you a quick demo for that. So if I go into Salesforce, if I go to create a new case here, I can see I've got all of the standard information, so I can go ahead and search for a product if I want. So we're obviously looking at Murray Group earlier. I can then select my case type. So say I want to report a bug report. I can pick my product. So I've got my product codes here. So this is FixFlex. And then I've made it so it's a requirement to pick your feature and then a JIRA task. So this JIRA task is going to be filtered depending on which product and feature you've picked. Now, if you select whatever JIRA task is in here, then it's automatically going to update that product engineering view. So I can see that there's been an extra case assigned to that specific task. If there isn't one there already, that means there needs to be a new task created. So I can always go ahead and select that. And then that will update my product development team so they can add in a new task into their JIRA board. So me as a product manager can go ahead and assign my case to that task. So by doing that, I've got this JIRA task field, which is always going to be in my case table for Tableau. So it makes that connection to my JIRA data really easy. Another thing with Salesforce, if you do actually have any formulas in Salesforce that you're creating, so anything based on the data that is already in there, that actually won't come through into Tableau. So you'll just need to make sure that you're recreating that in Tableau. It's just a quick pointer. Okay, so I'm quite happy with the case data that I brought in there. Now I've got my account ID and I also have my product here. This is going to be my product code. So I want to bring in a little bit more information about my accounts and products. So I'm going to create a join. So I'll just double click on that table to open up the join window. And now I can find those extra tables that I need. So let's go and drag on my account table. Make sure that it's joining on the correct thing. So I've got it joining on accounts, which is fine, or my account ID. And then I want to join in my product table. So you can see that it's automatically tried to create that join based on created by ID. Obviously don't want that. I want to have that on product code. So let's go ahead and change that. Okay. And there we have it. So that is our case join that we've just made. And again, by doing that, we've got a whole load of fields that I don't want. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly just get rid of the ones I don't need. So all I want to keep is just the information about my product. So the name of it, the ID, and similarly with the account as well. I'm just going to keep the ID of the account, the name of the account. I don't care too much about the account type at this point. And if I wanted to, I could keep in the owner ID and go and notify the owner of that account that they've got a lot of cases in, if that's what I wanted to do. Okay, there we go. So there we have it. I've just got a really, really simple case table there. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and just create a worksheet or create a chart just using that data. So you can see that it's now created an extract of those tables. So let's have a look at this. If I go and drag on my product name, and I can go and have a look at how many case IDs I've got. Play around with this. So you can see it's just really, really easy to connect to Salesforce inside Tableau. If I want, I could make sure that I'm only looking at my open cases and so on and so forth. So you can just see it's really easy to just immediately go into Salesforce and start analyzing your data. Now, as I've said, I actually just want to bring in some other non-Salesforce data to try and enrich this. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and double click on my connection and create a new one up here. So you can see at the moment, I've only got this one Salesforce connection. So I'm going to add a new one. Microsoft SQL Server connection. It's just giving me a little warning there that when I'm connecting another type of data with Salesforce, I do have a few limitations. So as I've said, it's got to be an extract. It can't be a live connection. And I also can't view data in the data grid, which is like this preview down at the bottom. But I'm okay with that, so I'll just click OK. Need to make sure that I can log in. Okay. So you can see I've got all of my different databases that I have in my SQL Server. I can connect to any one of those as long as I've got permission. I'm in the correct database at the moment. So I've got my user tables, which is what I want. And I've got my product usage table within that database. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and drag that on to my data connection window. Excuse me. And you can see when I did that, it created that connection between my case from Salesforce to my product usage. So this is now going to ask me exactly what fields do I want to create a relationship on here. So obviously product code is one, that's great. And the other one I want to make sure I've created a relationship on is my account. Because obviously my product usage is going to be by product and accounts. So I know who has got that usage for which product. Okay, so there's been two different ways that we've joined data together so far. We've created actual joins in our case connection, in our Salesforce connection up here. And then we've created a relationship, which is actually going to keep these tables separately and dynamically choose which bits of data you're actually wanting to view from each connection. Okay. So let's go back and start and go back into sheet one. There we go. So now you can see on the left-hand side, I've got these two different sections from my data pane. So I've got my case section up here and my product usage section. So case obviously coming from Salesforce, and then my product usage is coming from my SQL Server. All right. So what I wanted to know is the usage, first of all, of each of the products across all time. So let's have a look at that. Let's go and have a look at my usage table. I'm going to drag on my usage month. This is a pre-aggregated table to the month level, so it's going to make it nice and quick. I haven't got a row for every single bit of usage. So I want to have a look at this at a month level. I'm going to go ahead and break this down by products. And let's have a look at the number of accounts that I have for each of these different products. Okay. So if I want to, I can go make that a little bit smaller, get these kind of spark lines going. Now I want to know, out of all of the accounts that were active in this month, for example, so in October 2020, I had 43 active accounts. On average, how many cases did those 43 accounts send in? Now, as I've said, I needed to bring together these two different sources of data to do this. So first of all, what I'm going to do is create a filter, or create a field even. So let's go ahead and create a calculated field, because I want to make sure that I'm only looking at the months where the usage was the same as the month when the case was sent in, or the support request was sent in. So let's create that. So I want to know that my usage month is equal to my case month. Because I've already got my month aggregated up here for my usage, I can just go ahead and drag that down. And I can copy that format. So I want to know that the month of my usage is going to be the same as the month when they sent in that case. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to start a new sheet to try and explain exactly why I needed to do that. So let's have a look at our cases. I'm going to break this down by product. And let's have a look at all the different cases that we've got. Now, these are all of the cases that have been sent across all time. But I, as I've said, literally just want to have a look at the ones that were sent on in the same month that that person or that account was actually active. Okay. So let's go and drag this filter on. So this filter is using two different sources of data. So we're connecting that Salesforce and that SQL Server data. And I only want to keep those. So you can see that all of those bars quickly changed, and it's going to be reduced. So I can see that for Ahsoka, there were 129 cases that were sent in the same month that the account was active for Ahsoka. All right, so let's go ahead and create this fraction. So I want to know from my product usage table exactly how many accounts we're using that product. Okay. So I can see again for Ahsoka, I've got 33 active accounts. And out of those 33, there were 129 cases that were sent in. So that's where I've got all of my different elements now for my fractions. So let's create a new field. And I want to know the average cases per account. So I can drag on my count of case and divide that by the accounts that were actually, also the count of accounts, bit of a tongue twister there, the count of accounts that were active when they sent in those cases. Okay. And then we can drag that on. All right, so we can see across all time that I've got cases for, which is just for a year. I've got on average 3.9 cases have been sent in per account. All right, so let's go ahead and just get rid of these extra fields. I don't need them anymore. We can add in some labels here if we want. We can format this a little bit nicer. Let's go and make these labels a bit bigger. Okay. And we'll get rid of these extra decimal places. Definitely don't need those. All right. So now I want to try and combine these two different sheets. So this is my activity over time, or active accounts. And this is my average cases. All right. So let's start a new dashboard. I'm going to bring these two different things on. So let's drag on my timeline first. And then I'm going to drag on my average number of cases. And as we can see, they line up quite nicely. So I'm going to get rid of this header here. Obviously, you can format this however you want. It's up to you. Okay, so I want to try and bring in a little bit more interactivity here. So I can see that I've got my usage over time, but I want to know for all of the accounts that were active in this specific month, what was the average number of cases that they sent in? So I can add in a dashboard action. So I want to be able to click on a specific month from my active accounts over time. And I wanted to filter the average number of cases for that specific month. Okay. So I can add in this filter. And I'm wanting it to filter my usage month. And there we go. So now I can see for the month of September 2020, we had 35 active accounts for Ahsoka. And that means that out of all of those active accounts, there were on average 1.3 cases sent in from each of them. Okay, now again, I wouldn't have been able to do that without my activity data because my case table will have only had the accounts that sent in a case at all. So some of these accounts that I have been using the product over all time might have never sent in a case. So they wouldn't be in that case table. Okay. Cool, so just to quickly recap what we did there. If I go back to my data source pane, you can see that I've got these two different connections here. I've got my Salesforce connection and I've got my SQL Server connection. Within my Salesforce connection, I created a join of 3 different tables and then created a relationship for that with my product usage table. So I can try and compare the rate of cases I've got along with the rate of usage. All right. So obviously that was a really, really simplified version of what I created here, but hopefully you'll be able to see how easy it is just to bring together all of these different sources of data so you can really create some insightful views and know exactly where you need to try and focus your attention in terms of development and product development, and try and make sure you've got enough resources to get those things out on time. Okay, so just to wrap up, in terms of what's next, you can join our meetup group. So if you have enjoyed today's session and you want to come to some more, then make sure you join our meetup group. If you go to til.bi/talkdata, you can sign up there, and that will just give you an email just to notify you whenever we've got some new events. And hopefully at some point post-COVID, they will look a little bit more like they do on the screen and won't be so virtual. So yeah, make sure you come and well, make sure you go to that link and join our meetup group. And what you'll actually be told about a lot of the time are these Thursday trainings at 3. So we do these every single Thursday. We offer hour-and-a-half trainings at 3. So go on from about 3 till about 4:30, 5-ish. And it's on a range of different topics. And this is changing every week. So this is what's happening this week. As you can see, we've got a few different Tableau ones. We've got a nice range of advanced, beginner and immediate sessions. And one that might be interesting for you guys is we've got this Tableau for Salesforce session, and this is something that is being run by yours truly. So if you do come on Thursday, I'll be running this Tableau for Salesforce session, and it's just going to really sort of basically go through in a nice, simple, slow way on all the different connections that you can make in Salesforce, and that I'll be doing it using Tableau Desktop as well as Tableau Prep as well. So it will also actually go over how to embed dashboards in Salesforce. So full range of things if you're interested in that. Or alternatively, if you don't want to learn about any of these other things that you see on the screen, then you can come to or sign up for any of those sessions. Another way that we can continue this is by letting us help you. So we can actually come to your companies and offer you some consultancy. As I've said, we also sell licenses. We do lots of corporate training, and we can also offer a data school analyst as well. So that will be a trainee that will come in if you want to take them on for 6 months. If you're interested in that, send an email to info@theinformationlab.co.uk. Or alternatively, if you are interested in joining us, then you can join the data school and you can find out some more information on thedataschool.co.uk there. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A or in the chats, and I can have a little look, see if I can answer any of those. And if not, thank you for joining and have a good day.